Welcome back to the Bigger Than Birth podcast, where we're celebrating bigger bodies and beautiful births. I'm your host, Victoria Gaba, and each week we will be bringing you the real stories of plus-size moms as they share their journey through fertility, pregnancy, birth, and postpartum. These stories highlight what it's like to navigate through this experience as a woman in a bigger body in hopes of creating representation for plus-size moms, both present and future. Thank you for being part of this community as we share these stories that are so much bigger than birth. Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's show. Today, I'm joined by Cam, a fellow plus-size mom from Utah, who shares her first birth story while also giving the exciting news that she's pregnant with baby number 2. As we dive into her first birth story, she shares her secret weapon for conception and navigating a high-risk pregnancy following a gallbladder surgery. Cam shares the raw details of a long induction process that transitioned from an unmedicated natural birth plan to an unplanned C-section. Finally, Cam gets vulnerable and opens up about the pit of darkness she experienced as she approached 3 months postpartum and dealing with postpartum depression and the vital role that therapy played in her postpartum journey. I really hope you guys enjoyed today's show, and I'll hand it over to Cam. Hi, Cam. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast today.
Thanks. I'm excited to be here.
Me too. So I guess we will start by you just telling us a little bit about yourself and your family and where y'all are from.
So, we're from Utah. My name's Cam, as we said before. It's just me and my husband and our son, who is almost 8 months. And we actually just found out that we're pregnant again. So, it's super early. We're only 7 weeks. Yeah, so we're excited to have a new addition soon.
Oh my gosh. So we'll get this birth story and then we'll fast forward a few months and we'll do round 2.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, that's super exciting. Congrats. So we'll go ahead and talk about the start with your 8-month-old. So
Okay.
were y'all planning to conceive your son when you did?
We did. So we were trying for probably 6 months before he was conceived. And I had just had gallbladder surgery as well. So it was kind of a weird time. I made sure with my doctor, I was like, is that going to be a problem? Because I know there's scars and stretching and everything. And they said it should be fine. Um, but yeah, it took us 6 months, which they say to try for a year, and then you can start looking into fertility things. But in the back of your head, you're like, is it me? Is it him? Is it us? So it definitely had an impact of infertility in my brain, but I wouldn't say that we struggled with it. Our secret weapon was baby aspirin. I don't know if you've heard the secret of baby aspirin.
No.
But one of my husband's coworkers who has 10 kids, she was like, every time we're struggling to conceive, I just take baby aspirin every day and it helps us get pregnant. And so I tried that, and a month later, we got pregnant. And then when I talked to my doctor about it, she was like, just stay on it through the whole pregnancy. It's good for blood pressure. So that's our secret. I'm not a medical professional, but it worked for me. So I try to recommend it to anybody who's struggling because I don't
Yeah,
know.
you never know. That's so interesting. I've not heard that one. I've heard Mucinex and some other random
Mucinex.
things. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
but that's the first time I've heard baby aspirin. But that's very interesting. I mean, it makes sense as a blood thinner kind of
Yeah.
situation. So were you kind of tracking ovulation as y'all started trying, or were you just kind of monitoring your cycle?
So the doctor advised during, I think, starting day 8 of your cycle and then every other day to have intercourse. And we tried doing that, and it just felt very procedural, very a lot, legs up in the air, trying everything we can to make it stick. And it just started to be a lot of pressure. And once we got to that 6 month mark, I was just like, this is negatively affecting my mind. I'm putting a lot of pressure on myself. We have a whole year before we need to worry about it. So I tried to stop worrying about it.
Right.
And yes, we were still going for that ovulation window, but it wasn't every other day, during that window, taking ovulation strips at the time that we actually conceived. I think that it's good to not stress as much. It's puts a lot of pressure on your body. So,
Absolutely. And then the more
yeah.
you stress, sometimes that's a detrimental thing to being able
Yeah.
to conceive too. So awesome. So talk us through finding out, taking that test and seeing the lines, kind of what happened with that.
So I remember trying to record my reaction every time I went to go test in the bathroom, and they were all negative, and I'm also looking like garbage because I do it in the morning when I'm just wearing my t-shirt and my face looks like a mess. And the day that we tested and got a positive, I looked at it and I was like, okay. So I like smiled, but I wasn't super excited. Like I didn't cry, wasn't jumping up and down. I wanted to tell my husband because I didn't want to tell him on the phone or like right before he went to work or while he was at work. I like thought I would do something fun, but like I just went and told him. I just went
Yeah.
and told him. I said, "Does that look positive?" And he said, "Yeah." And we just sat there like, "Okay, we did it." It was weird to me. I was like, "I don't feel like I need to cry right now." And he's like, "That's okay. That's all right. We've been working towards this and we're happy." But it was more just like, "Wow, we did it. Now what?"
Exactly.
Yeah.
We checked off that box. Now,
Yeah.
here we go.
Yeah.
So, early on, did you have any symptoms of pregnancy?
Really tired, has always been a big one for me, like immediately tired. And then, food aversions. Nothing sounds good. I'm not really hungry, and I'm a person who's like, I like food. Um, so just not being able to eat anything, nothing sounds good is super weird for me. So I would say that's one of my biggest pregnancy symptoms. Um, my family has always gotten really sick while they were pregnant. I did throw up a little bit in those early months, but I wouldn't say that I got super sick. So I would say I was lucky. But yeah, you have to pee a lot, and that was like exhausting. Once
Yep.
he was born, I was like, "Oh my gosh, I can have a full bladder again."
Yeah, like you can sleep through the night. Well, you can't sleep through the night because the baby, but
Yeah.
at least you don't have to
Mhm.
pee through the night.
Yeah, that's the worst symptom for me is like not being able to like empty my bladder. It's so stressful. Oh.
No, that's awesome that you weren't sick and that the food, I know food
Mhm.
aversions are never fun anyways, but at least you
Yeah.
weren't like consistently sick with them.
Yeah.
So, through pregnancy, did doctors kind of prenatally mention anything about you being plus size or give anything about your weight?
So I went in looking for a high risk doctor right off the bat because based on my research, like my BMI, my weight did put me in that category. So I ended up going with a DO, which can do medical and holistic, which my husband is very holistic. He's very, very not a doctor kind of person. So I wanted something in between, and we went and talked to her. She was great. She did let me know that because of my weight and my size, like they probably won't let me go out past 40 weeks. And we were trying to go unmedicated, and so that was kind of always in the back of my mind. But I also like didn't go in blind, like I knew to expect some kind of what's the word am I trying to look for? Some kind of
Like pressure,
pressure, not discrimination, but just like
like bias from
bias.
medical people?
Yeah,
Mhm.
like knowing that they were going to think that that things were going to go one way because of that reason. So I had a birth plan. My plan was to go unmedicated. She was like, you might end up with a C-section. You might need to get induced. If you're over 300 pounds, which I was just under 300 pounds, now I'm over 300 pounds. But she's like, if you get over 300 pounds, like we're probably really going to end up with a C-section. And like, I was like, oh yeah, like that's fine. But like, I also knew that I was in charge of my birth. And until I consented to that, we were going to try everything else I wanted to try. Um, yeah, and it was my first baby. So she said it's likely you're going to be induced for your first baby. A lot of people don't contract supernaturally with your first child. And so we did end up getting induced, but we'll get to that in a second here. But that's kind of my experience. Otherwise, like the support staff, people who would take me for my regular appointments, do my non-stress tests and everything, I never felt discrimination from them. I never felt like they looked at me weird. The only thing that I would say kind of made me feel a little funky was when we went for our anatomy scan. We had a male doctor who did our anatomy scan the second time because I had a lot of tissue and baby was stubborn and we couldn't see certain heart valves on him. And so we had the male doctor do our second anatomy scan, and he's like, yeah, there's just a lot of tissue here. And that's normal for like bigger pregnancies. But it was just like, I don't know, maybe it was just coming from a man that I felt a little self conscious about it. But other than that, I had a really good experience, I would say.
That's great. Yeah, I know even sometimes it's those one-off comments where they may not have even meant anything by it, but
Mhm.
because there's been stories of people that have been treated differently, you're like, was that rude? Or like, did you mean
Yeah.
something?
And my sister-in-law was actually pregnant at the same time I was. She's actually a straight size lady, but she saw a lot of the professionals I saw, and she said she had horrible experiences with them.
Oh, wow.
So I don't know, maybe it's just personalities, but like I had a great time with everybody I met up with, except that one doctor. And I had one nurse during my birth that was kind of but other than that,
Well, very cool. So, as we're getting towards the end of your pregnancy, with them already
mhm.
talking earlier on, like, oh, you may have induction, you may have a C section, were you still wanting to go into labor naturally, or what did the end of your third trimester look like?
So I did not contract a lot. Like I never had like Braxton Hicks, I would say. I did feel baby drop. I feel like around 37 weeks, I was like, okay, let's do it. Let's get out. And I started doing like curb walking and things like that with my husband. And I felt like him drop a little bit. But other than that, I was still determined to go unmedicated. Husband's family is really on that holistic side. And like I said, my sister in law, my other sister in law, my mother in law, like they were very much like non medicated is the way to go. And like I myself wanted to see if I could do it, like I necessarily was fine as long as we were all safe. But I did wanna see if I had it in me to make it through that, but I wasn't contracting naturally, so we went ahead and scheduled the induction. We took a birthing class through the hospital, which I felt prepared me pretty well. I probably should have taken, like, a hypnobirthing class. I That's something I wish I would have done. I tried to listen to some hypnobirthing podcasts, or, like, audiobooks, but nothing I feel like was very, like, super instructional like what I needed probably.
Did you ever try to listen to like the hypnobirthing YouTube tracks where you'll get very far into it and then an ad will pop up and you're like,
No.
thank you.
No, I should have done that. Oh my
'Cause, like,
gosh.
it would be so good for 5 minutes and then you'd get a random YouTube ad and you're
Uh-huh.
like, cool, okay, I
You're
ruined
like, all my zen is gone. Yeah, I
Yep.
made like the birthing playlist. I made my birth plan. I typed it up. I laminated it. I made like a million copies of it. When I gave it to the hospital, they were like, cool. Took it, never saw it again. Never heard a thing about it ever. So, knowing that now, I think it's best to have a plan to like be flexible, to educate yourself for sure going in. Cause I know a lot of people who were not expecting to have a C section or not expecting what happens with an induction, and that makes their birth really traumatic, and I'm lucky that I didn't have that experience, but,
Yeah, for
um,
sure.
that's kind of where we ended up.
Besides the hospital birth class, did you do any other kind of research or books or anything about labor, birth, pregnancy?
I was going to buy What to Expect When You're Expecting, was going to read it, didn't read it. I was gifted Mom on Call, didn't read it. Um, I know that that's mostly for, like, raising kids though, or, like, newborns, so I didn't get super into anything. I read the hospital, like, pamphlets they gave us, though. We did the whole class, and I feel like that gave me a lot of information. I did watch some, like, YouTube, what to expect when you're having birth or, like, quick Instagram reels, but, like, when I come across those, they're not plus size people, and they're all people who were able to have natural births, or unmedicated births, sorry. Will not say natural births. But, yeah, so it was hard to feel like I knew 100% what to expect, but I did feel prepared.
So, going in, you have your induction scheduled. Walk us through getting checked into the hospital in those early stages of the induction.
So they call you in. Well, first they call you the night before and they're like, come in at this time. Make sure you don't eat or anything. I should have ate. I was starving. But we went to the induction, got to the hospital, checked in, was super excited. We had all of our bags packed, got into our room. I asked for a bariatric gown because like ordered the Frida one. So clingy, did not fit, was not great on me, even though it says one size fits all. And I had been to the hospital for my gallbladder surgery, and I felt like I was tugging on the gown all the time. So I asked for a bariatric gown. I felt so much better. They just pulled it out of the cupboard. They said, "Oh, for sure." And I felt so great. I'm glad I asked for that. And then we started with a cervix softener and I started contracting. So I hadn't really had any contractions before then. And once I got that cervix softener, got in bed, got all the monitors, I asked for wireless monitoring. It didn't work super great because it slips off your tummy, which kind of sucks when you really want to be able to move around. And we ended up having to do the bands because the other ones just wouldn't stick on. Um, but yeah, another thing, we couldn't monitor baby with the heart monitor, so they ended up doing the scalp monitor, which I in the class I was sitting there like looking at it in front of me, and I was like, I don't want that on his head. Well, we had to put it on his head, and we had to put it on there 3 times because it kept coming off.
My goodness.
So yeah, a little stressful, but also good. I had a wonderful nurse who was awesome. Made me feel totally at home. My husband was with me. We didn't have any other family with us, even though my mom was trying to sneak into the hospital and join us. But it was just me and my husband, and it went pretty good. We started out really low Pitocin. When it would get too intense, I would ask them to take it down. Like they were very flexible with moving it up and down for me. Breaking my water was cool.
Did they have to break your water before they put the scalp monitor on, or
Yes, yes.
yeah.
So that did happen before that. Um, but it was cool, except I felt like I was sitting in a pool of water for like 20
Like,
minutes, but then I don't even remember when they cleaned it up. I was like, they had to have cleaned it up at some point, but I don't remember when they did that. It's pretty magical how they do those things without you remembering, but oh well.
did the Pitocin, so I know you mentioned them being able to move it up and down. When they started
Mhm.
it initially, did you notice like a huge jump in the pain of the contractions or the intensity of the contractions?
Not a huge jump, and I feel like I mostly had back contractions the whole time. So a lot of that pain was in my back. I feel like I had a lot going on mentally during my birth. I woke up that morning, saw a cockroach in my living room. And I said, I cannot bring my newborn baby home to a house that has cockroaches. So I had texted my mom and I said, oh my gosh, I saw a cockroach in my house because I was living in my grandparents' basement. And she was like, don't worry, I'll take care of it. And then during my induction, it's like probably 5 hours into labor, she texted me and she's like, we went and like sprayed the house. There's gonna be no cockroaches when you get home. And I was like, you went and sprayed the house where I'm bringing my newborn.
With chemicals?
Yeah, with chemicals. And so I'm like having a panic attack. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And I can't tell my husband because he would be like so upset that they went in our house and sprayed our house. And so I'm just like trying to work through these contractions and trying to stand up. I wanted to stand up in labor. It hurt so bad. Couldn't do that. The best thing for me was on the ball, with my arms on the bed. So I really liked that position. Except your back door is hanging out for everyone to see behind you. But at that point, yeah, you don't care. You don't care. Um, but I just mentally, I was just so stressed. I was like, I think I need an epidural. Like, I think we got 9 hours in once until I asked for an epidural.
Do you know how far along you had
Mm.
progressed at that point?
I think I was at 7
Okay.
centimeters, and they said I was at 90% effaced. Um, that could have happened also right after they gave me the epidural. I'm
Mhm.
not quite sure.
But still,
Um,
that's pretty far into labor that you
I
made
know, and I came in
naturally.
at a 2. I
Yeah.
came in at a 2, so, like, I had not contracted at all until we got there, so I was just mentally I really wanted to push through and do unmedicated, um, but it just was not working for my brain, so I said, "Let's do the epidural." I did try nitrous oxide. I wanted to give that a shot, because I have seen, what's her Facebook account? Labor Junkie, Nurse Labor Junkie, I think is her name.
Mhm.
And she did nitrous oxide. And so I wanted to try that. My hospital just started allowing that. So I did that for a couple minutes while they did the epidural. And it was not my favorite thing. I don't feel like it did a whole lot. They do say it kind of blunts the pain. And I would just say having my husband like there to grab onto was more helpful than the nitrous oxide. So I did have that. I also had a balloon catheter. I don't know if I said that, or the Foley balloon or whatever, to help with my cervix as well at the beginning.
How was the Foley balloon, like, the insertion? How was that? I've heard mixed
Yeah,
messages.
I myself have never had like a super uncomfortable pap smear. I've never had like a super uncomfortable cervical check. So it didn't hurt me When I did get the epidural and I got the catheter, didn't hurt. Getting that out didn't hurt. So I think I'm lucky on that end because I've heard a lot of people, it's really painful. So not to invalidate their experiences, but for me, I didn't struggle with that, which was great. So once that I got the epidural, that's when they said, let's take a break, let's relax. They had me rotating side to side to try and get baby to come down because he was not really coming down. So I would rotate, I would sleep, they would monitor him. At some point, I was reading my husband's notes last night. And apparently, I got a fever at some point, and they were putting ice packs on me. You can still feel when the contractions are coming in waves when you're on the epidural. And so I was still feeling them and knew when they were coming. When I got the epidural, I felt, I don't know if this is because I was in a bigger body or what, but I felt like lumpy in my back. So like when I would lay down, I would feel like there was a spot, like I was laying on a ball in one spot on my back. Or like if I shifted, it was in a different spot. So that was something that I experienced. I don't know if like my gown was bunched up back there, if the sheets were, but like my body just felt uncomfortable being flat. So that was something I experienced. Um, my shift change happened while we were there. And so my awesome nurse, like super experienced, left. So the night nurse came on and she's like this tiny, looks like a teenager like girl. And I am having epidural now, so I can't move my own weight. But she was great. She didn't make me feel bad at all. She was like ready to heave and hoe and had my husband help her flip me and toss me and turn me. And that was great. I just like I really appreciated her. I like made sure that I like thanked her and everything because she was awesome. I did have one nurse that when I like needed to go to the bathroom, she was like really weird. She came on for my nurse's lunch. I don't know. It made me feel weird. She was just negative. She had a negative energy. She was only there for 30 minutes, but
Like, get that out of here. We don't need that.
yeah, don't need that.
Awesome. So, how long did you go after the epidural till you got to 10 centimeters?
Pretty quickly is when we started pushing. So maybe 2 hours,
Okay.
maybe 2 hours, maybe 3 hours. Um, and then I started pushing, and baby was not loving the pushing. What ended up happening is we would push for a while, we would try rotating. I did the sheet pulling, um, trying to do that. I had a mirror so I could see him. I could see his head like way up in my pelvis, but he couldn't get through my pelvis. So he ended up being stuck. I kept asking my doctor to like let's keep pushing because I wasn't super exhausted, but he just wasn't descending at all. So she let me go for 3 hours of pushing. And then she came back and she said, I'm going to deliver twins in the other room. And then I'm going to come back and we're going to go have a C section because he is not coming down. And at that point, I was like, let's look, like, just let me see if I can push while she's gone. My nurse and my husband helped me push while she was gone. And then when she came back, she's like, I've already let you go past how long we normally let you go. So we're gonna go do the C-section if that's okay with you. And at that point, I was like, we've tried everything else, so let's just get him out. We want to meet him. And so the anesthesiologist came in. He was super great. Immediately threw up when I got like the extra epidural or whatever the spinal block they gave you. Very dizzy, very nauseous. Um, but we went into the operating room. I again had that lumpy feeling in my back because I was flat. They did have a C-section grate for me, and um, my husband was there, but I had my eyes closed until I heard him cry, just because I was so nauseous and dizzy and uncomfortable with like the weird lumps I was experiencing. But as soon as I heard him cry, everything was great. Everything was happy. I didn't get to see my placenta, which I kind of wanted to see. I thought it would be cool to see. My husband didn't get to cut the cord. They just kind of did that really fast, even though those things were on my birth plan. So that was a little irritating. But yeah, getting to finally hold him, they put him like right on my face, basically. There wasn't a lot of room with your boobs like right up by your face. So he was basically on my face. But yeah, and he was there and we were happy. So it was about a 15-hour labor, all in all.
Did they let you have like a minute of skin to skin, or once they let you have him, did they kind of take him off for cleaning and things like that?
I think I got to see him through the drape for a little bit. And then they went and cleaned him real fast and did his vitamin K and wiped him off and everything, and they brought him back, and then I was on skin to skin until like, he was on me until we left the room too.
Oh,
So
that's
that
great.
was great, yeah.
So they were able to, like, stitch you up and everything while the baby was still there?
Yes,
Oh,
yeah,
great.
yeah, I didn't feel like he was gone that long at all. Yeah.
So then once everything's done, you go off to recovery. How was
Mhm.
early 2 hours of postpartum?
So first, we went back to my labor room to try and breastfeed, and I was so happy he was there, like, I was more awake than I had been for a while, but, he wasn't I didn't know if he was getting anything. It's, like, hard to tell if they're getting anything. So, like, you have nurses, like, manhandling your boobs, trying to, like, stick it in their mouth. I'm just like, "I think it's working, I have no idea how to tell." Then we go to recovery, and there's a box of food waiting for us. Hallelujah, I was starving. So, like, I literally, like, put him on my chest. My gown is, like, down, I have him on my chest, and I'm just eating a sandwich, and I remember, like, dropping a pickle next to him. It
You're like, "I'm
wasn't on
sorry."
him, but I was like, "Oh, sorry." But I was so starving. My husband has, like, a video of me sitting there just eating my sandwich at 3 AM, like
Yeah, especially after that long of an induction plus
Yeah,
3 plus hours of pushing, like, that itself is a
yeah,
huge workout, so
yeah.
you earn those pickles.
Yeah, and then we just, like, faded, like, we weren't trying to go to sleep, we just, like I think we turned on the TV when we got into our recovery room, and it was, like, National Treasure, and we were like, "Oh, cool, we'll just stay up and feed the baby and watch this." We were both out. Nurses would come in, I think somebody came in, they were like, "Oh, your baby's still on you," like, and they put him back in the bassinet, and they would come and check, they come and check, like, every hour
Yep.
to give your medicine and everything. I was able to stand up pretty soon, walk around. They have the pressure things on your legs to, like, help with swelling. So I had those on. A nurse came in and helped me take the catheter out because I was able to stand up and get myself to the bathroom. I took a shower. I don't know how soon. In my mind, it was pretty soon after we got back to the room that I feel like I had my first shower and everything. Maybe it was 12 hours. I don't know. But we told people he was born. We said, do not come here until like the afternoon tomorrow. We need some alone time. Um, it was great. It was great to just have him and us there. You're like a zombie, but everything's great. My first nurse that I loved so much, she actually came and visited me postpartum. She missed the
Oh.
birth because it was not her shift, but she came back and saw us in the morning, and it just, like, made me feel really taken care of and seen, and that was really sweet of her to come check on me.
I feel like that continuity of care of, like, usually at the hospital, you are passed from person to person, or you'll have a nurse one day and then they'll be off the next few days, so you'll never see him again. So the fact that she took the time to come back, that's super sweet.
And she knew I didn't wanna have a C-section, and she heard that, um, I had pushed for a long time and then it ended up in C-section, baby got stuck, and so she just was like, "You did it. Great job. Like, just came to check on you," and it was so sweet. I, like, sent in a review for her, and I said, "Give this lady a reward. She deserves it."
We love great nurses and great doctors.
Mhm.
That makes everything
Yeah.
worth it. So how long were you in the hospital for recovery?
He was born al almost, like, 12:30, and people came the next day and saw him in the afternoon. I think we slept through that one night, and then I think we got discharged the next night, so I think only
Oh my
48 hours in recovery. I was, like, ready to go home, I felt okay. I was like, "Let's get discharged, let's get out of here." They discharged me at, like, 7 o'clock at night, which was a mistake. I should have stayed there for until the next morning at least, because the minute I got home, I was in so much pain,
oh no.
and the pharmacies were closed, so I couldn't pick up my prescriptions, so it was a really rough, painful night. My poor husband just, like, dealing with this newborn and me just, like, crying. It was hard. It was hard.
And so were you in pain more just at the incision or it was just kind of all over at that point?
I think at that point, it was mostly all over. Because I was doing really fine in the hospital, everything they were giving me was great, I wasn't feeling a whole lot of pain. When they would do my fundal massage or check on everything, like, I felt the pressure, but nothing really super hurt. But as soon as I no longer had that IV, no longer had that, like, hourly medication or whatever, Ugh, it was just mentally just tore me down. I was happy to be home, but, it was really hard. It was really hard, and I have a really good baby. He slept really good. He's always been a really good sleeper. Um, but yeah, I should have stayed in the hospital longer.
So once you were able to get your medication the next day, did that pain kind of
Mhm.
simmer down a little bit? Was it better after that?
Oh, yeah. So I had my husband go, to the pharmacy right as they opened in the morning. He came home, took that medication, felt so much better. We started camping out in our living room, watching Fixer Upper, I think, and we were watching funny things, and I kept laughing, and it hurt so bad. Because I know you're supposed to brace yourself to sneeze or anything, but nobody told me to brace myself when I was laughing.
Yep.
So I thought that my husband was so funny, and he was just, like, making funny comments because he was super happy. He has his baby, um, but it hurts so bad. So if you have a C-section, brace yourself when you laugh. Yeah. And my husband is very much like he doesn't want people to help him. Like, he's very capable of
Mhm.
taking care of his family. So when people would bring us food, he was like, "We don't need people to bring us food." But I was like, "Are you gonna cook? Are you gonna do the dishes?"
Accept the
So
food.
yeah, so it was nice to have people bring us dinner. I recommend doing paper plates or anything because we neither of us wanted to do dishes. We were going to, but we forgot to get paper plates and stuff. So there were always dishes sitting in the sink that I would stare at and like mentally ruminate on. Like I wasn't gonna go do them because I couldn't get off the couch, but like do paper plates.
Yep.
Take it off your mind.
That's a great
Yeah.
recommendation.
Yeah.
Awesome. So from the get-go, he was a pretty good sleeper. And did y'all have any other issues with breastfeeding or anything like that?
So he did struggle with breastfeeding. We continued for the first week to like track his bowel movements and track his feedings and which side he was on for how long. And I just didn't know that he was getting enough. And I had some colostrum saved um, pre us going to our induction in little syringes and stuff. So I would give him those. But we did have a can of formula already purchased before we left to the hospital just because I wanted to have our bases covered. And so we started combo feeding him pretty early, which was great because then my husband could feed him and like give him a bottle while I slept or something. So it was nice. I wanted to breastfeed. We struggled with it. I did go to a breastfeeding support group, and I would say that that was more helpful to me than like talking to a breastfeeding consultant like from the hospital. Because like I said, every time I talked to them, it was a different tactic. Like they were all giving me something different to do, and it was all the manhandling of the boob and shoving it in his mouth. And when I went to the breastfeeding support group, it was just like people with all ages of their kids, just like there sitting around this blanket, like telling each other the wins and losses of the week and just breastfeeding. And like the lead lady would help you situate and like we were like, "Does he have a tongue tie? Is that an issue?" He did kind of have a tongue tie, but like with her help, we were able to make it work. I just wasn't super consistent with putting him on the breast when I had my husband helping.
Mhm.
So he was combo fed until I got my period and I would pump. And like I would breastfeed him mostly at night, like right before bed, which was great because you get that cuddle and they get tired and everything. But the pumping, like, every 2 hours was, like, so exhausting, then you have to clean the pumps, and, oh, it's so it's just the
Yep.
worst. I went in for my checkup, my 8-week checkup with my doctor, and I was like, "I'm pumping, but, like, right now it's, like, really low output. I'm, like, getting, like, an ounce every time I pump," and she's like, "Girl, that's you don't need to do that. You don't need to do that." I had a wearable pump. I was stupid, and I didn't get a plug-in pump because I thought I was gonna have this wearable pump everywhere I went, and it did not have the kind of motor that you needed to get the kind of suction for, like, a first baby. So next time I will definitely get a wall plug-in pump. Um, but yeah, I pumped, combo fed him till I got my period, which was about 3 months postpartum, and then he was formula fed. I still have some breast milk saved for, like, when he gets sick and things like that. So I still have some in my freezer for that purpose, but it worked for us. I'm hoping we have a better output with this next baby, but I also know that it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen, and it's not the end of the world.
Did you feel like you had put the pressure on yourself, like, even if it was low, I'm gonna keep going?
Yeah, I like wanted to see because then you like start scrolling through your phone and it's like power pump, like drink a lot of electrolytes, eat these brownies, drink coconut water, like all these things. That's like if you power pump for 30 minutes and then 10 minutes and then 30 minutes, and that's exhausting
Yep.
and it hurts. And when we were first breastfeeding, I had like scabs coming off my nipples, and my husband was like crying. He was like, "Oh my gosh, the things that you're putting your body through, like for our baby, like I appreciate you so much." And he was very, like, as holistic and natural as he was very much pro, like, you do what's best for you. Like, if we need to formula feed him, he will be okay. So I appreciated that support so much. And then right around 3 months postpartum is when PPD hit. And I thought I had escaped it. I thought I had escaped the baby blues and everything because I was like stressed and tired. Um, I felt a little disconnected from baby for the first couple weeks. Um, but once 3 months hit, it like got really, really bad. And that's when you're outside of the baby blues window. So I made an appointment with my doctor. I got on an SRI, SSRI, that's what they're called. And my husband and I were having issues because we were both tired and exhausted and stressed, and we were having different parenting ideas and difficulties with like who in our family could hold him and things like that. So we started couples therapy, and I started seeing a psychiatrist myself. All these things were like life changing for us. So like I'm glad I got the help when I did, which was encouraged to me, not by people telling me that I needed to, but by people telling me that they had struggled with that. So I had an old coworker who came to visit me and baby a couple weeks after birth, and she was like, it hit me at like 6 months, and I was having like rage, and I was like, I threw a bottle at a wall, and I was like, I can't do that. Like that's not okay. And the fact that like this sweet little coworker that I had that could never do anything wrong admitted that to me, like made me be like, oh my gosh, like this happens and it's gonna be okay. And so I did. I went to the doctor, got on that medication. It helped. Therapy really helped. Gave my husband some perspective of like what was going on. It gave me somebody to talk to and work on goals with, and it was so great. And I started weaning off about 6 months. I started weaning down on my SSRI dose. And then when we found out I got pregnant, I feel like it started to ramp up again. So I just went back to my regular dose, and it's safe for breastfeeding, it's safe for birth. So that's what I'm on right now. And I'm so glad that I am because that pit of darkness, I had never experienced that kind of depression, that kind of loneliness. People who have depression that's not postpartum situational things like that, my heart goes out to them because it is such a deep pit
Yep.
that I never want to experience again.
Yeah, and like
Yeah.
you said, being able to hear people's stories, because I feel like having the representation of people we know, like you probably would have never known about your coworker until she shared her story. And then you're like, "Oh, it's actually people around me, not just some foreign concept that we see in YouTube or Instagram reels or things like that." It's like, "No, this can happen to anybody, and it absolutely is valid to go get the help that you need."
Yeah, well, and knowing that it can happen months later
Mhm.
because I knew, like, to have those symptoms posted on my kitchen, like, fridge and, like, have my husband keep an eye out and my family keep an eye out. And I was like, every time I would go into the checkups for my baby, do the survey, and it's like, "How are you feeling? Are you experiencing any symptoms? Anything out of the ordinary?" And I was like, "Moderate," like, like, general anxiety, general, depression that I was just like, "This is part of it. This is how everybody feels." But, like,
Yep.
it didn't really hit me until 3 months, and, at that point, I was like, "I should be okay by now," and it came out of the blue. So, just knowing that it can come up 3 months, 6 months down the road and that that's normal was,
Yep.
like, just super helpful for me.
That's great. That's super great, and that you had those
Mm.
resources around you, that's awesome. As far as physically healing, was there anything that kind of prolonged with that? How did your incision heal well, or was there anything physical?
So, they say to keep it dry, which is hard when you're a plus size person. Your body folds over itself, and I did buy, like, scar tape to put on there, but when I would put it on there, it would get all crumbly and things like that, and so I didn't feel like it was a benefit for me. But every time I had, like, my husband check, my incision or my doctor check my incision, They said everything looks great. I didn't have any weird leaking. Um, it felt itchy for a long time. It's purpley, so it's definitely not invisible. I think because I'm plus size, it doesn't dry and it doesn't like fade away as typically as somebody else's C-section scar would. I guess everybody is different, but
Yep.
um mine you can definitely still see. But yeah, it healed very well. Feel like I still have some internal healing, which you certainly do. I was not planning to get pregnant this soon after a C-section. You're supposed to wait like a year or two after. So I do feel like I still have some internal healing to do, or at least sensitivity in there around that scar area. But other than that, it healed pretty well. I would say the like sharp pain really did take 6 weeks to go away. Something that was really hard for me though is I'm a bath lady. I love baths. It's like my safe space. It like helps me recharge. If I'm having a bad day, it makes everything better. And for those 6 weeks where you're not allowed to take a bath, it was horrible. It was horrible. I felt like garbage. And I had my baby in the summertime too. So it's like we had family reunions and things like that where I wanted to go like swimming in the lake or swim at the hotel pool. And I couldn't. And really sucked. But when I finally got to, it was great. It was awesome.
It's everything you dreamed of.
Yeah, it was everything I dreamed of. My boobs went from like big to like pancakes. They're like still big, but like they're super saggy and flat. It's weird. I never feel like I've been like a big breasted lady, but when I went to that breastfeeding support group, she was like, you know, when you have fuller breasts, and I was like, do I have fuller breasts? I was like, I thought I was one of those plus size people who doesn't have boobs, but I guess I do.
It's all perspective.
Yeah.
That's so funny. Well, with this upcoming pregnancy, do you think you're just going to go in with a scheduled C-section? Or are you going to try to do a VBAC or something like that? Or have you given it much thought?
At my 6 week appointment, I asked her, I said, so I would really like to try for vaginal birth at some point. And she said, here's all the reasons why you can't. She said, your BMI, the fact that you have like that he didn't fit through your pelvis specifically, like that was the issue. It wasn't a like a
Mhm.
preeclampsia issue or anything like that. Um, the only thing that sticks in my head is mostly my BMI, but there were a whole bunch of other points.
Yeah.
But she's like, I was like, well, what if I did a GLP-1? Like, if I got down to a certain weight, is that more realistic to have a VBAC? And she's like, oh, yeah, absolutely. But I'm not in a place where I think that fluctuating super like a lot during my childbearing years, like I'm
Yeah.
planning to have more kids, why I would go down and then up like a million times just like stresses me out. So I did not do that. Um, but I would still like to try for a VBAC. I'm still gonna put my hope into it. I've never had like really weird blood pressure issues, and I think the baby aspirin helps with that. That's just my witchy woo feeling about it. But
Yeah.
um, so I'm definitely gonna go in with hope that we can do it. If I
Yeah.
have to try everything again, like I did this last time, and then go into a C-section, that's fine. The only thing I'm worried about is a uterine rupture
Mhm.
because if you have that happen, you can't have more kids. So we do have to be careful there. Um, so I will be monitoring that closely, but I actually haven't met with my doctor yet. It's still so early. So I haven't even had my first ultrasound yet. So yeah, that's my plan. So everyone cross your fingers for me that we can make it work, but I'll be happy. Even if it's a C-section again, I know what to expect and I will be happy with it. So
And that
yeah,
you've gone through it and it was still a positive experience for you at the end
yeah.
of the day. That's all that
hmm
matters. So that's great. Well, thank you so much, Cam. Is there any last pieces of advice or wisdom or resources that you would want to share with everyone?
My one thing I need to mention is maternity clothes for plus size people. They don't exist. They don't exist out there, people. So don't stress yourself out by trying to look for maternity clothes for plus size people because they don't exist. Somebody should make them. Somebody should make them. But yeah, I just ended up going up 2 sizes from what I was wearing, and I'm still wearing that size. So that's my advice there. And that's something I could not find anywhere. Any advice. Everyone was like, well, just check Shein, check Amazon, check Target, and none of that worked for me. So just bought some bigger leggings at Torrid and lived in those. Oh, something that like I don't know if you experienced this too, but I had, like, this weird mental thing where, like, I felt happier pregnant because I feel like I had an excuse to be bigger, and that's so messed up. That's so messed up
Yeah.
that, like, I felt, like, justified in being the size that I was because I was pregnant, and that's hard to admit
Yeah.
to yourself,
That's super real
but
because it really
yeah.
is, even with straight size people, it's really the only time in society where getting bigger is praised. But then it's like
Mhm.
such a short window because then there's the bounce back, which is non-existent with anybody. Like that's not a real
Yeah.
thing. But I
Mhm.
absolutely can agree with that where I feel like besides with the doctors and everything wanting to monitor like, oh, don't gain too much weight,
Yeah.
it's like other than that, it wasn't you weren't thinking about size, you were just thinking about growing a baby and keeping the baby healthy,
Mhm.
so that's very real.
Yeah, and people also wouldn't, like, say anything. Everywhere I went, I was like, "People are gonna know I'm pregnant," but they did not know I was pregnant because I mean, I had a bee belly too, so I never had, like, a really cute bump or anything, and I didn't take maternity pictures because I was super insecure, and I just hate that I felt that way, like, I really wish I had those pictures to look back and appreciate, and, I mean, I'm glad people didn't, like, stop and comment on my size and, like, wanna touch me all the time. I'm glad I didn't have that experience, but also you feel really vulnerable pregnant, but you also wanna have it, like, tattooed on your forehead so that people know what you're experiencing. So that's how I felt.
I think that's probably an experience that many people have because we come from a society that puts a little extra pressure on people in bigger bodies,
Mhm.
and then you add pregnancy on top of that, so it's very
Yeah.
real.
Yeah, and it was hard to talk to family and friends who are straight size and didn't kind of get that mindset. They're like, "Why do you feel that way? Like, why do you feel like you have an ex like, happier that you have an excuse?" And it was just an interesting dynamic I had going on in my head, and I just wanted to share that with somebody who may have experienced that as well, but
Yeah.
not expecting you to at all, but
No, for sure, I completely get that, and I'm sure a lot of people will resonate with that as well, so thank you for sharing that.
thanks. I hope that people get something out of this.
No, I think they will for sure. I think my whole goal with this was to have a platform that there's no specific, like, you have to birth this way or this is what plus size
Mhm,
people birth looks like. Because at the end of the day, still we're in plus size bodies, but births look so different for everybody and
mhm.
everybody experiences it so differently. So, getting your perspective and your experience will absolutely help someone that's going through some of those same things. And others might have a completely different birth, but it's good to get that perspective on someone else's. So I think that's great.
Yeah, and I hope that I have 6 more months. So I hope that somebody else comes on and I can listen to their story and get some more tips for my
Yep.
next birth, so
Absolutely.
I'm really thankful to you for putting this project together, and I'm really thankful to be a part of it. I think it's really important.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate that. And hopefully, in a year or so, we'll be getting another story from you.
That would be fun.
Awesome, Cam. Well, thank you so much. And we will talk to you soon.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for spending part of your day with us. If you enjoyed this episode and want more stories just like this one, please be sure to like and follow us wherever you listen to podcasts. Also, if you have a moment, please consider leaving us a positive review wherever you're listening to this show. These reviews are the best way for the algorithm to push out our show and get us in front of other plus-size moms who may be looking for a community like this one. Your kind words can help make sure that no one has to go through this journey alone. If you are a fellow plus-size mom and would be interested in sharing your story, please reach out to us at biggerthanbirthpodcast@gmail.com. Use the subject line "Share My Story" and I will be sure to get back to you as soon as possible. Want to put a face to a voice? Head over to any of our social media pages linked in the show notes below to see more photos of today's guest. Any resources or topics discussed in today's episodes will also be linked below. Thanks again for being a part of the Bigger Than Birth community, and we will see you next week. Bye!